G'day and welcome to our final Open LMS live event for the year. It's really exciting to welcome all our Open LMS clients to this call, and in particular a big call out goes to our enterprise clients as well. We've got a really exciting agenda today that we want to share with you, and we'll do that now. So in terms of what we have coming, is as follows. We've got a year wrap up and review. We're then going to look at Open LMS and what's coming in the new release. And again, that's going to be relevant for all our clients because we know our enterprise clients are also moving to 3.9. We're then going to look at some H5P improvements and then a bit of discussion around the mobile app as well. So again, really excited by that. And at the end, we're going to have some Q&A. So any questions that you may have as we go through, pop them in the comments and you will see them come through. So again, jump on board. It's going to be an exciting session. It's amazing that the year is almost up, but I'll now hand over to Phil to provide a bit of a wrap. Thanks, Phil.
Well, Mark, I guess you're amazed that the year is almost up. I will say 2020 might be a year that a lot of people hope will be done faster or will be forgotten. So hi, everyone. My name is Phil Miller. I'm the Managing Director of Open LMS, and it's just a delight to have you here today. First of all, I just want to say I hope that all of you are staying healthy and you and your families and your teams and your students are staying healthy. Obviously, this has been just an absolutely crazy year. With the pandemic, with all of the geopolitical situations, and also for us at Open LMS with the dramatic changes that have happened this year. So before I dive into just a little bit more about some news that actually happened this week, I wanted to just share a couple of photos, and I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, the last time we did an Open LMS Live, and I showed some pictures of my family, I got great reviews, and I think people like the pictures of my family more than what I had to say. So let's pull up the first picture here. This is going to be the last time that we get to connect with you before the end of the year. And so for most of us, or for a lot of us, we're going to be celebrating the holidays coming up and vacations and all that type of thing. And so I just wanted to say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever holiday you're going to be celebrating as we go into the new year. Just wanted to wish everyone a great end of the year. Again, for most of us, I think maybe all of us in the world, we 2020 might be a year that we want to forget, but let's finish it strong, and that's what we're trying to do here. So this is me and my kids. My wife is taking the picture here, getting ready to get on the train to see Santa Claus. And the interesting thing, if we go to the next picture, is it's kind of dangerous when you let your children pick out what shirt you're going to wear to go see Santa Claus. Here you can see my son Cooper picked out a shirt of the Grinch for me to wear to see Santa Claus. And so I was labeled everywhere I went as the Grinch, unfortunately. But I wanted to just share a story that actually happened last night about my son Cooper to kind of share a little bit about why we do what we do. Almost all of us are educators or trainers, or we work in education technology. And I had one of those great parent moments last night. And it really reminded me why learning is so important and why we love this. And what happened was the triplets, the three younger kids, go to bed quite early, of course. And last night I heard footsteps upstairs, and I went up the stairs to see what was happening. And I went upstairs, and my son, who was supposed to be already asleep, was walking out of the library or a different room in the upstairs, carrying a giant stack of books back to his bed. And I kind of followed him a little bit without him seeing me. And he then sat back down in his bed and had a little flashlight, and he was reading books in his bed. And to me, that was just an indication. We talk so much about learning, but the reality is people are made to learn, right? When we acquired eCreators just a few months ago, they had the slogan, which we've now adopted, love the way you learn. And I think that's just a great example of why we do the things we do and why it's so important that we focus on delivering great education and training to clients. So you might be amazed how I took a story from talking about the Grinch at Christmas to learning, but somehow I was able to make that connection. So what I want to share with you for the year in review is actually on the next slide. And that is 2020, while it's been a horrible year with the pandemic and other bad situations, it has been a remarkable year for online learning, and it's also been a remarkable year for Open LMS. As hard as it was for all of us to make that transition back in March and April to go fully online in the course of a week, it does somehow feel like we've advanced in many situations the cause of online learning and educational technology like a decade in a month, right? The month of March and maybe April felt like we did things that we were trying to do. And that's because we've got great educators around the world who are trying new things. Now, a lot of that was actually a disaster, right? It went, we were learning new things, and even, later in the year, that was just the biggest experiment in education that's ever happened, with a lot of people moving online very quickly. At the same time, at Open LMS, we experienced what I'll only say is a remarkable year. I think we have done some great things, but it's remarkable just because of everything that has happened with Open LMS this year. If we remember way back, if you've been around for a little while as an Open LMS client, it was back in March that we announced that we were separating from Blackboard after 7 or 8 years of being a part of Blackboard, and we were going to go out on our own and try to build something great around Open LMS. And that's now been about 9 months. But of course, 3 days after we announced that, the world started to go into a lockdown for a pandemic. And the team reacted beautifully. I'm so excited about how we supported our clients through that, even while we were in the middle of a change as a company. Then, of course, about 2 months ago, we announced another big move that really dramatically increased our presence in Asia Pacific, and that was the acquisition of eCreators, which was the largest Moodle provider in Asia Pacific, with over 400 clients, primarily focused on corporate learning and vocational education, but also with a great capability in building amazing digital content to play in Moodle. And it's been great to bring that team together over the last couple of months. And then the news that we just announced on Monday, it might have actually been Tuesday for those of you in Asia Pacific by the time you saw the news, was that we'd acquired the largest Moodle provider, except for Open LMS, based in North America, but with a presence in Europe and in the Caribbean, and even in Africa, a company called eThink Education, which has really prided itself on amazing customer service and being strong members of the community. We're bringing those companies together to really create a great provider of Moodle and open source services for education technology. We think that by bringing these companies together, we can work together instead of competing against each other. We can innovate more quickly. We can eliminate some of the duplication. All three of these companies, there was, I think, a meeting today to decide, well, which training course do we want to use for an introduction to Moodle? Because all three of us had built a great course for that. And so we've got a lot of work to do as we bring these companies together, but it has been a massive amount of investment in creating a great experience for our customers. So what a crazy year it's been. In so many ways, we're excited that it will be over, but we are actually delighted. And I hope that you guys appreciate and can see some of the changes that are starting to happen at Open LMS with the really massively increased investment that we've made this year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the people who are going to talk about probably more interesting stuff to you, like what are the amazing new features that are coming in the product. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being our clients, for helping us through this dramatic change that we've been through, and also just for the amazing work that you do in helping people learn and helping people improve their lives. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Laura, who's going to talk a little bit about the upcoming release of 3.9 and some of the amazing new features in that. You ready to go, Laura?
Yes, thank you, Phil. So hello, everybody. My name is Laura Martin. I'm product manager for Open LMS. And as Phil said, I'm just going to walk you through on some of the updates and features of Moodle 3.9 and our release that is actually coming to production in the next few days. So just to get deeper into this, our release, Mark, could you go to this next slide? Thank you. Our release 3.9 release is coming in December. So we already have delivered or released the 3.9 version to sandbox sites on the 3rd of December. This applies for Open LMS SaaS clients, and we will have our production release on the 30th of this month. As Mark also said, there are several of our enterprise customers that also are moving into the 3.9 version, but they have their unique release dates. So this only applies for our Open LMS SaaS clients. We have sent out several communications around the due dates or the release dates, and also the features that are coming with this release. So just keep that release notes link on your notes, just to follow up on everything that we are updating and debugging with every day that passes. So on to the release highlights. We have 4 major release highlights, and I'm also going to talk about a bit on the other Moodle core updates. So I'm gonna talk about the H5P full integration, although Andy is gonna do a very thorough walk through all of the integration. We also are gonna talk about accessibility improvements, UX and UI improvements, and our open reports migration. And finally, the Moodle core updates, such as the activity chooser, participants, filter, course copy, new functionality, and the Safe Exam browser integration. So to go deeper into the highlights, the first thing to notice about the H5P full integration is that this is a new plugin that has been added by Moodle Core. This new plugin is available and visible for all our clients with the 3.9 version, and as such, you have new capabilities and new functionalities, such as that you can create content directly, H5P content directly into the course, and also you have a new content bank repository where the activities can be created directly into that bank or that repository and just edited and modified as the person who creates wants it. And finally, since it's a new Moodle core functionality, you can also enable grading and attempt tracking to H5P, which was not viable before, so as such. But as I said, Andy's gonna walk you in more detail through it. The next new things that we have for 3.9 are the accessibility improvements. For this release, Moodle had an external audit, made some testing on accessibility and some definition on accessibility, and they made several improvements to general sites, such as the homepage, courses, and so forth. But the major or the most visible improvement was made into the auto editor, which is now more user-friendly when you create accessible content within the auto editor, so within any HTML content that you create within the platform. The next we have user experience and user interface improvements. As you may know, Moodle is really focusing on user experience improvements in general for the platform in the past few versions and for new versions also. So in this new release, we can see a lot of improvements focusing on usability. So first we have some UX improvements in the book navigation. We also have the turn editing on button added. As you know, before, just for Moodle core themes such as Boost or Classic, you had the turn editing on button within the menu, but with this new version, you will have it outside the menu as a big button, just to facilitate the editing of content. There were also user turf improvements in terms of accessibility. And in terms of new functionalities, we have a go to top button, which appears when within a page the scrolling is a bit too long, and a nice button with an arrow just appears on the bottom right corner of your site and just allows you to scroll up very quickly. And finally, a course copy functionality that is available for admins and managers that I'll also go in more detail in a bit. We have some user experience and UI improvements, debugging into Snap. And finally, our most improved usability feature is that we adapted the new activity chooser of Moodle so that we can also support the new features for Moodle from Moodle in our Snap theme. So going into our last highlight, the open reports. As you all may know, also we have been migrating our open reports functionality to a new technology that is not based on Flash for the graphics. And for this release, we have migrated several more reports. And you can still find both of the reports, so the old reports and the new open reports experimental link within the administration menu, and you can see all the reports. One thing to note is that since Flash is end of lifing at the end of this year, we have disabled all the graphs and pie charts and bar charts that were displayed through Flash in order to prevent that error to appear to any user. So right now, all the reports are dependent, or that were dependent on Flash and that have graphs have been migrated and can be found in the new open reports with improved graphics and improved performance. So now let's go into the Moodle core updates. So as I said, one of the major improvements in this 3.9 release made by Moodle Core is the redesign of the activity chooser. Right now, the new activity chooser is more accessible, is more user-friendlier, and is also easier in general terms to use, to find activities and resources. But with it, it also have Moodle Core also added new functionalities to this feature. So right now, users can favorite any activity or resource that they want, and by doing so, a new tab of favorite resources and activities will appear for easy access to those activities and resources. Also, another functionality is that administrators of the site can recommend activities and resources to their faculty or teachers or content creators. So within those settings, they can just decide which activities or resources should appear on this new tab called Recommended Activities and Resources. So it's easier, it's more friendlier to navigate, and well, you can find also all the information for resources and activities within the same activity chooser. The next element that we have is thank you. It's the participant filters improvement. Right now, when you go into the participants list of a course, you can see that Moodle Core added a lot more filters and options for this view. So now you can have multiple filter options and also can build filters with multiple conditions. So also very user-friendly, very flexible. So I invite you to check them out. The next thing that we have is the course copy functionality. This functionality is available for administrators and managers with the precise capabilities to view this functionality. And what it means is that within a course or within the course management screen, the admins will be able to just open the menu and copy a course easily and with a single step. And finally, the last Moodle Core update that is very relevant is the Safe Exam Browser integration. The Safe Exam Browser is a plugin, an open source plugin that was added by default for all our customers. And by doing so, it's now available within the settings of the quiz. So now teachers or content creators can define if they want to activate or just not activate the Safe Exam Browser functionality for any quiz within the platform. Nothing needs to be done by clients. It's available by default. And the last update that I wanted to share with you guys is all the plugins updates that we have at the moment. As you know, this is a major release, and with it we update most or almost all of our plugins, the ones that have new versions. So this is the current list as of today of plugins that have been updated to the latest versions. We are still reviewing some plugins, and within our release notes page, we will keep on updating the list to just list all of the plugins that will be available in the new version for production site. And well, with that, I'm gonna pass it on to Andy to do a more detailed review on the H5P functionality.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, so let's talk a little more about the H5P. If you're not familiar with it, we'll kind of dig into that a little bit as well. But if you've been using it already with the community-sourced plugin, we'll talk about some of the changes and the impacts of those changes. Essentially, in real broad brush, there's a whole new way to do H5P integrations that's native to the Moodle platform now, as opposed to being a community-sourced plugin. The new approach puts an integration inside the editor toolbar for you to use to either upload content or author content or grab content from a content bank. So it gives you more or less the standard workflows along with this content bank that kind of gives you a container or a folder in the course to store H5P content packages to use them. It continues to work with the gradebook through this integration, but I'll say that I feel like it's got a few more things to get ironed out before it's fully deployed. But let's take a look at some more of those features, and we'll start with talking about, on the next slide, with the kind of the reasons why to use interactive content at all. If you're not familiar with this tool, it's an open source tool that allows you to author content that's interactive. That's why it's called interactive content. And the idea is that you're creating multimodal content, either by embedding questions or embedding pop-up material inside or expanding material inside content in the page, or you're creating complete packages of content, whether they're slides or videos that have formative assessment elements and even summative assessment elements built into them to give your learners interaction moments when they can test or validate their understanding that they've accumulated while consuming the material that you're presenting to them. It's all about really providing those opportunities to reinforce learning or provide reflection moments within learning to give learners the chance to really build their own understanding of the material. And so that's my pitch for why you would want to have interactive content at all. And on the next slide, we'll talk about a little bit about the H5P organization. So it's an open source product. It's an open source tool. It's run by a separate group, h5p.org. In recent years, they've been moving folks to look at an h5p.com approach, where you pay for space in their environment to store your content and reuse it through embedded links and things like that. Most LMSs take that approach to integrating H5P content. The Open LMS and Moodle approaches so far have actually given us the ability to author the content direct inside the platform. But some of the advantages of this approach is that you've got a repository of content that you can borrow from and reuse. It's H5P. The H5 is HTML5 compliant, so it's responsive by nature. It's mobile ready by nature, and it feels a little more modern and slick than some of the more traditional content types inside of Moodle. So that's why people get excited about it. But let's talk about, on the next slide, with the sort of the modifications or approaches to this plugin. With the community-based plugin, you've always had the ability to manage the installed libraries that are available for folks to use. There are lots of different kinds of H5P tools available, and you may want to sort of narrow down the options for folks so that they have a less rich list to pick from, in part because it's a lot of things, and in part it may be that you, from a policy perspective, want to prevent the use of certain tools because they fail to meet accessibility tests the way that you need them to, or you may choose to turn off certain tools because they're browser type dependent. There are a few tools that require Chrome extensions and only work in Chrome, for example. And so those might be tools that you choose to turn off for folks. The community plugin has always had that ability in there, and then the new version of H5P that's native to the platform also has the ability for you to manage the libraries that are available for folks to use. So again, it gives you the opportunity to control that availability and enforce some policies. Let's take a look at the next slide, and we'll talk a little bit more about this embed behavior. You've always had the ability to embed H5P in the platform. Once the filter showed up in the system, there's always been the option to just put embed tags inside of HTML if you're allowing trusted content and have that frame in content from somewhere else. But what the embed tool inside of the HTML editor adds now, there's a little button for H5P that shows up. When you click it, you can open up a interface where you choose content either by uploading the content, grabbing content from the content library, or authoring content directly into the library to use in this space. It is a really clean workflow. I like the overall approach to all of this, how it kind of has a nice rhythm, it makes sense, it feels connected to other processes in Moodle. There are a few issues, we'll just say blatantly, with some of them, some of this approach that I think are just going to have to get ironed out over time. I guess with all things Moodle, it's exciting to have new things, and I love to get in there and play with them, and then usually I kind of cool off a bit and let a release or two go, and then go right back in. So that may be the case, or it might be that the current setup is working perfectly for what you want to do, and it's going to satisfy your needs. With this approach, graded content can be selected to be graded and insert itself into the gradebook. It makes sense in a Moodle way, and it follows relatively straightforward Moodle logic. But what is great that with all of this is that you can also just go in and say, I'm creating some HTML space, I've got a label that I'm creating, I'd like to embed a question in this label to prime my students to think about what we're about to dive into in the next activity. And so I can ask that question using an H5P element. I might not even keep the grade for that because I'm not really interested in the scores. I just want the students to practice thinking about the topic that we're going to get into in the next element. Again, just using it to sort of start their engines about thinking about the thing we're going to do. I would use the H5P tool kind of everywhere in that sense, because again, its goal is to provide those opportunities to create breaks in the learning stream, moments of reflection and assessment, or affirmation of the understanding that we've created. And traditionally, those long sections of text like page resources or labels, or can even be that way, or books, for example. This is a great way to integrate those interactive elements into those sort of more static experiences, if you will. But enough about the embedding. Let's talk about the next slide here, which is our kind of overview of H5P. Again, if you don't know it very well, there are about 40 different content types. There are lots of content types that are compound objects that wind up building upon other types to achieve what they're doing. Things like the course presentation or the interactive video elements where I'm adding things like questions and informative elements to an overlay over the top of some other content. The great place to start, if you haven't been using it so far, is to maybe begin with just using the base elements, the questions, the information tools, the expand and collapse accordion presentation of material that create a more interactive experience but are a little bit less of a time commitment on your part than building a complex branching scenario engine with multiple videos and multiple slide decks and things like that. Those are really cool. They're super exciting, but that's a big project. Start with the small projects. It's what I'll advocate there. And see how it works for you in that scenario. On the next slide, we'll just wrap this up with just a few notes about kind of where the tool can be used in action, and part of that is the content library. If we can hit that next slide. There we go. Oh wait, that's right, I had the Lumi desktop in there. So the Lumi desktop tool, I'll make a pitch for in here. If you've seen me talk about H5P, you've seen me talk about this before, but one of the advantages of this is it's a free use software package that you can download and install on your local machine. And rather than author the content online and kind of go through the workflows of creating something and then checking it and then re-editing it and checking it and re-editing it, you can author the content on your desktop and flip back and forth between the editing view and the view of what the preview of what it looks like. You can just switch back and forth between the tabs that it provides for that view to be able to see your creation as it grows and comes to completion. In my testing, it works really well. And with this workflow, you just save a package that you create through this tool on your local machine. You go into the Addo editor and you choose upload, and you upload that piece of content into the library for the course, and away you go. I think for me, I really like the workflow, and I really like the kind of pile of packages I have on my desktop. And if I think of one of the challenges this change in the H5P integration presents, it is around that migration path, right? So if I've got content I've already built, how do I move it to this thing? Because it doesn't just go in there and grab all your stuff and pull it into the content library. And so one of those workflows is to download the H5P package that you've authored online, take it down to your desktop, and then re-upload it into the content library. And now it's in the content library, and you can reuse it in the course. If I authored my content in the desktop tool, I already have the file locally. And I'm sort of skipping that upload or that download portion and just going right to the upload. So it is kind of a shortcut in that sense as well. So I think that's my last slide about H5P. I might be confused, but yeah. So I'll wrap it up there. And I'm going to hand it over to Dean to talk about our mobile updates. Thank you.
I've been having some really big issues today with my mute button, so do bear with me. But good afternoon, everybody from Melbourne, Australia. So local to some, down the road for others. I wanted to talk to you today about the mobile app. So obviously the mobile app has been pretty popular during the last few months, more so than previous months, obviously with COVID and the like. The uptake's been absolutely massive. So just wanted to take you through a few little updates that we have here. Moving over to the next slide, please, Mark. All right, so obviously the mobile app is available on both the Google Play Store and the Apple iOS Store. So it's a free download. Jump in there. We're currently on version 3.92, which is the new latest version for the Open LMS mobile app. And it's got some really cool new functionality and some cool new features as well too. I want to sort of take you through some of the things that the mobile app does. I'd also be curious to know out there as well too, who's not using the mobile app, because if you're not, you should. It's compatible with your sites, providing you're running obviously web services. So a great little tool to add to your learning arsenal there. If we go to the next slide, we can look at some of that stuff in a little bit more detail. So currently we have three tiers, if you like. So the first one being the free tier. The free tier is fully functional, so you can download the app again from those respective app stores. You can download content directly from your LMS. The app will work with your content both online and offline, so you can download it locally, disconnect your Wi-Fi while you're traveling absolutely nowhere at the moment. But when that position comes where you actually need to do your work offline, you certainly can. Same with teachers. You can grade materials offline from your students as well too. So another little handy feature there. Really, really good for sending out course notifications and messages. So any of those notifications that you want to send out en masse can happen from your LMS, obviously, and then be pushed out to all of your mobile devices. So you get a notification like you get one for LinkedIn or Facebook or any of those social media platforms. Obviously, students can view their grades. They can see the badges. If you're using badges and want to award badges, they can see those badges via the mobile app. Beauty of our free tier as well is you can download unlimited courses. So we haven't actually put a restriction on how many courses you can download to your local device. So it's pretty much as many as your device can hold. So if you're using H5P and those types of tools, that's a lot of courses. One of the great things that a lot of organizations don't know too is the ability to record audio, record video, and capture images. Now, by default, these are sent to the private file section on your learning management system. If you don't have that turned on, again, it's another plugin that can be easily turned on for you. And then you'll be able to do what you like with those videos once you do record them and upload them back to the LMS. The second tier I wanted to talk to you about is the one we're getting a lot of traction for, a lot of attention for these days, and that's the branded tier. So this essentially means that you can have the mobile app. You can use the generic version, the Open LMS version. So search on the App Store for Open LMS mobile app, and you can have your own logos, your own colors on the app, and then publish it to those various app stores. That is obviously a paid service, so you can speak to us about the costs involved for doing that. But if you want to have an app that's called the Flinders University mobile app, you can do that. So we take you through a process. We help you register your account on the App Store, fill out the paperwork, and push that up so all your students know exactly what to search for. The app looks very you and very unique, highly functional, exactly the same functionality as the free tier there, but looking just like you. So what we're sort of encouraging with what we're calling the enterprise tier, on our roadmap for Open LMS, we're obviously looking at different pieces of functionality that we can import from Open LMS into the mobile app. So we'll be building new things over time. But there may even come a time where you want something that's out of the norm that you want on your mobile app in the App Store. So these are things like multi-site access, private notification servers. There may be a feature or something that you want to use on the mobile app that's not available generically. So you can certainly speak to our teams about that as well too, and we can scope that out and get it working along for you. Obviously, with the enterprise tier as well comes that live help desk support as well for your mobile application. Not that you really need it, because the app is just a viewer of the wonderful things that are inside Open LMS, but it's there if you want it. And obviously, always remember with any of these tiers, there's also community-based support. So don't forget to log on to our community. One of the guys will paste a link in there shortly, so you've got access to the live community, and the community is really, really responsive too. So other participants can answer your questions. Quite often we're in there as well, answering questions too. So we encourage you to participate in that community for any questions that you might have. Really, really excited about the mobile app. So check it out today. Log on to the App Store or the Android Store. Check out Open LMS mobile app and download it and try it out for yourself. Thanks. Yeah, next slide. I think that's me. That's it. So things you need to get started if you do want to go down that branded path there. The application name and description, so what you actually want to call it, so Dean's mobile app or something exciting like that. Images and logo files, so the image you want on your landing page or your splash page for when people start up the app, what they see first up. Obviously, we'll send you out a permission letter as well to use your branding as we're required to by both of the various app stores. Any branding guidelines you need us to follow, and a URL, so the URL of your current Open LMS site. And then we also need to make sure that your Open LMS web services are enabled. So on some sites that is active, on others you just need to send us a ticket, tell us to turn it on, and we can get you up and running with the app really, really quickly. So I look forward to more of you engaging in this app service, and any questions you have, please defer them to the community, and we'll get those answered for you in a jiffy. Thanks for having me.
Great. What an amazing... Go for it. I was going to say, what amazing session. Lots of information, lots of exciting stuff that's happening, whether it's us as a company growing, whether it's the new things coming in 3.9 or the information around mobile and H5P. So lots of exciting things happening in that space. And now we're opening it up to some Q&A. So I'm just going to duck in and see what questions people have. And in the meantime, certainly add your questions into the comments, and we'll address them as we go.
I'd actually love to know, is anybody not using the mobile app? If I could throw that out there. Are most people out there using that facility?
Just post your answer to the comments, everyone. We'd love to hear if you aren't using it. If not, why are you not using the mobile app?
Do you not like it? Can we make it better?
Yeah, well, we wait for some answers, by the way. I'm Pablo. I'm the guy behind the chat there for a second. I would like to ask maybe Phil or Dean something that people from our earlier call asked us, and that's, well, now that we are a bigger family now that eThink joined the team, what's next? What's that all about, and what's going to mean for us?
Well, I'll start, and then I'll let Dean take some of the product stuff. The short answer is this makes us a bigger company with more Moodle experts. So eThink is a company that's now part of us, brought 40 employees over that are all Moodle experts that are joining the team. That now puts us at about 140 employees who are working in and around Moodle. So it just brings a lot more scale. We've got some amazing people that have done, great things with the Moodle product on that team. Now, to be fair, we're only, 72 hours or so into our new life with eThink. So we don't actually have all of the plans laid out yet for exactly all the things we're going to do with the product. But I do want to throw it over to Dean, because we are starting to make some pretty nice decisions, I think, about the future, where we're going with the product overall, and eThink has a big impact on that. Dean, do you want to share a little bit about where we're going?
Yeah, sure. Look, and it's a big question. Pablo, I could talk for hours on this topic, you know that. So look, I guess, by bringing in eCreators and eThink into the one Open LMS brand and bringing in all that talent into the one place, it allows us to have more scope right across the board. So obviously we have a corporate flavor now, a product which has a lot of different types of plugins. So things like, programs and compliance, things like skills-based training, skills assessment plugins. So all of these plugins are now going to be brought into our core product, which is Open LMS. So for those organizations out there, those institutions that have a demand for some of these types of products and types of plugins, we'll be able to give you those as part of your standard offering. There'll be functions that you can turn on or off. So that's really exciting. Obviously, the content business. So eCreators in the past built thousands of modules per year. We still continue to do that. So primarily that's using tools like Storyline and Rise, a lot of SCORM-based tools, Captivate, and the like. Obviously, GOMO as part of our group success as well. So all of these tools can be, all of these services can now be offered to our client base right across the world, and already people are taking advantage of that too.
We do have one big problem that has been pointed out to me several times, which is earlier this year we relaunched the eLearn magazine, and then we bought eCreators, and then we just acquired eThink. we're kind of running out. We need to buy a new vowel or something. It feels like we're getting a little bit heavy on the E companies these days.
Yeah, well, I think you've got the best of them in the fold, Phil. So look, and I guess that speaks for itself too. That Phil mentioned that we had 140 something resources now, and that's right across all teams. So it's more people in customer support, really experienced people, more people in product teams, more people in engineering teams working on our infrastructure. More people obviously in the content development space. So the breadth of services and the amount of people that can now support those services moving forward is substantially increased. I mean, we from an EdTech perspective, we're certainly one of the biggest in Australia and probably in the Southern Hemisphere, probably getting close to world domination now too, as far as our breadth of services, our service of people, and the amount of things that we have on the roadmap are really exciting in our corporate.
I'm going to interrupt, and I'm going to steal a question from Mark, who is moderating, because this is going to be a challenge for you. So Tanya is asking in the chat, did I hear Dean say skills assessment? And here's your challenge, Dean. I want you to respond to that question in less than a minute, because normally when you and I talk about this, it's like a 2-hour conversation. So I want to see if you can do it in less than a minute.
Big challenge. Okay, so a minute's not enough. We're going to take 2 minutes. Fundamentally, the skills assessment allows you to build skills matrices for individuals. So let's say, for example, I'm a help desk operator inside an organization, and one day I want to be the CEO. Well, you're able to build out a skills matrix inside the system which says these are all the skills or all the training or all the courses that you need to do to have the necessary skills to fulfill that role. So let's say I'm the help desk guy. There's 20 different skills in the matrix. I can go, bang, show me all the skills I've got and all the skills I need. So it'll show me all those skill gaps and then set up that pathway that I need to fulfill to get that final qualification or the necessary skills to fill the needs of that particular role. That's in a really small nutshell. It does a lot more than that.
Wow. Well done on the timing, Mr. Saunders. Yeah. Well done. If you want to hear more about the skills assessment and some of the job ready and competency stuff that we're working on right now, I would check out. I would start a thread in the community where Dean and everybody else is pretty active, and let's go have a conversation about that. Yeah. All right, I'm going to pass it back to Mark to moderate again. Sorry, Mark, I stole your thunder there.
No, that's okay. One for you, Andy. There's a question again from Tanya, wanting to know more about the issues that may come with the new H5P.
So some of the stuff is really around, I guess, expectations and maybe we could call it the hype. Right, it's an auto editor that embeds H5P content into spaces, which is great. All of that embedded content doesn't tie back to the gradebook. It's tracking the XAPI style data, but it's not feeding the results into the gradebook when you do embeds. There's a separate activity button to make a graded object out of your content for that purpose. Theoretically, it was supposed to be bigger than that, but it isn't at this point, and it looks like it's working a slow road to getting there. And the other challenge that I've run into is expectations around the content library behavior. When I first looked at the content library, I thought, oh, cool, content library, so I could put stuff in it and use it everywhere. And the answer is no. So it's a box that lives inside of a course with stuff in it. And when I make things in a new course, I got to move the stuff into the box in that course to get it over there. And so it's a little bit rough around the edges, I guess I'd say. There are tracker tickets for a lot of the issues that I've seen and that other folks have seen, but I'd like to get it a little more finished, personally.
That's great, Andy, and obviously, you know, we're really keen to work with clients and really see the way in which they can incorporate that to really make a great difference when it comes to the student experience. And students more actively involved in learning is going to be a big plus with being able to use that sort of content. Again, going back to Dean around assessment, you've really started something here, Dean. You know, there's some questions when we think about the assessment and skills-based, you know, that recognition of prior learning and evidence. Does the environment support that as well?
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, the skills that you have inside your system can be linked to whatever you want them to be linked to. So it might be content that you have native on your system that you've built, and you said, right, these are the units of competency the learner needs to complete to qualify for that particular role. Or it could link to external providers. So we have another little feature upcoming called the Content Store. And the Content Store allows you to share content with third-party providers. And if they're offering content, you can bring that content into your system as well too. So it can be really multimodal in that you can have your own native content, third-party content, or even connecting the courses from various content providers like our partners Go One and those sorts of organizations.
Hey, Dean, can I just remind everybody here that the skills assessment stuff, some of the new features that you're talking about are features that eCreators built and on top of Moodle that we have not yet pulled all the way into the Open LMS code base yet. So those are on the roadmap to come in, and that's why we want your feedback in the community. But there is still, they're not going to be in the release that's coming to your site in just a few weeks.
Unfortunately, no early Christmas presents here.
Yeah, no early Christmas presents this year, but we do want to get a bunch of feedback on there so we can get those into one of the next versions of Open LMS. That's part of our plan, and part of the reason that we brought eCreators into the family was some of this great stuff that that eCreators has brought with them.
Yeah, and it's great to see, you know, just looking at the chat, that this is certainly an area that sparked a lot of interest here in APAC, which is fantastic. Again, just looking at through some more of the feedback that's coming through, again, in relation to the mobile app and some of the more specific features in Open LMS around, say, the OUA forum. You know, are we getting support for some of those different plugins within the environment in terms of the mobile app?
Yeah, so, I mean, really, the mobile app has support for, I'm just going to say blanketly, all of the native functionalities for activities and content types. It doesn't have a very rich support for the grading workflows, because I don't think those make a lot of sense to a lot of us, you know, on a mobile device. Like, how do I make a rubric work on my phone? But there are some grading workflows that are simpler on there. And then there's a lot of plugins like the OU forums or the Open LMS forums that do that pass through to the web browser on the device. I guess we should visit all of those along with the changes to the core forums and see where that leaves us as far as when we should do something. But I'll let Laura and Dean, well, Dean might have to run, talk about what the roadmap I hold for us on those sorts of things.
Sorry, the roadmap for, I missed that, Andy.
For some of the plugins that don't have native support in the mobile app, are there any of them that we're looking at in particular to add to the mobile app?
Yeah, look, at this stage, I won't jump out of the box and say which particular apps that we'll be working on straight away. But yes, there is a roadmap being developed, and we'll be releasing details on that early in the new year.
So I'll make my pitch that you should go to the community site. The link went out a couple of times in there. And
great idea. Paste that link again.
For your favorite thing to get added.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, obviously we're always engaging our audience with regards to, you know, input into the roadmap. So I think there was a comment just before, if you'd like to participate in beta programs and those sorts of things, please indicate that on the site. Reach out to anybody on this call on LinkedIn or indirectly through the community. We're always open to a conversation. We're always happy to share new things that we're working on. So, if you want to book in for a session to see some of these things in real time, please do reach out. We're more than happy to run individual one-on-one webinars or small group webinars. If you want to invite a few mates along and have a few sandwiches while we go through it, even better. Unfortunately, I can't shout you those sandwiches at the moment, but until we can, we'll have to virtually share our sandwiches together. But please get involved, get active. I mean, a lot of the time, I think in client land, you can suffer in silence or wait for things to come your way. But the more that you get involved, the more you can help to influence the roadmap as well too, and that's what we want.
Oh, that's great. And the fact that Phil's buying more company, we have more developers, we're really excited to get them stuck into some of these things. So it's fantastic. And speaking of some of those things, the next question relates to, what work are we doing around reporting and analytics, with tools, those types of tools moving forward?
I'll take that one, Mark. Great question. As you guys know, we're now part of a group of companies called Learning Technologies Group, and we're going to say goodbye to Dean. He's probably got a lunch date or something like that. Bye, Dean. We're part of we're part of a company called Learning Technologies Group, and they actually have a really interesting platform that's called Watershed Analytics. We'll probably post a link to their website in the chat here in just a minute. What that tool is a learning record store based on the XAPI platform, and then an analytics and business intelligence tool that sits on top of that. And we, because it's based on XAPI and because Moodle supports XAPI, we've actually got a proof of concept project going with a handful of our clients, looking at how Watershed can work with them. If you guys are interested, if any of you are interested in participating in that proof of concept, again, this is going to sound like a bit of a broken record here. On the community site, there is a learning analytics group that is talking about some of the requirements there. One of the great things about Watershed is it accepts data from any and multiple XAPI data sources. So the proof of concept that we're going to be working on in January with a number of clients is actually not just bringing in your Moodle data, but trying to connect multiple XAPI data sources together. So if you've got a platform like Kaltura or Instilled or assessment platforms that export XAPI data, you should be able to merge those data together in the Watershed platform. So really exciting stuff. Again, go join the group in the community forum. I really do feel like we sound like a broken record here. We just keep pointing people back to the community, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on out there. So hopefully that answers your question. Please go take a look at Watershed LRS and join the community conversation on learning analytics.
Yeah, and certainly it's a conversation I've been having with a number of institutions here who are really keen to jump on board with those focus groups. So really excited, keep raising noise so we can make it happen. So we've probably got time for one more question that's popped up, and I know this is really key, particularly in the TAFE sector here in this region. And it's around checklists, particularly advanced checklists, where it's around observation and having a way within Open LMS to be able to track those types of assessments. Do we have that as a priority or a bit of a focus moving forward? But having said that, I guess we just need to add that to the community side as well. Get the discussion happening.
Yeah, absolutely. As Dean mentioned earlier, we're trying, and Andy, by the way, you mentioned this too. I'm not taking that comment away from you. We're trying to make sure that whatever features and capabilities we build into the app make sense into that context, and that's a great example of something that will be very helpful for a very specific use case. So, yeah, please share that in the community. We are adding that into the roadmap, evaluation process, and some of the initiatives that we're working for the mobile.
That's great. So really want to reach out as we bring this to a conclusion to thank everyone for joining. It's been an exciting year, a different year, but a great launching pad for us to really transform and evolve and really work with you as a partner to really develop, because we obviously love the way you learn and we want to make that happen for you. So thanks for joining. If you again want to keep update, go to the community site, and we look forward to catching up. Thanks all.